Tonight, the exact second you turn off your bedroom lights, something weird is going to happen. Your room goes dark, the world goes quiet, and your brain instantly panics. You will hear a phantom notification. You will remember a random meme from 3 days ago. Or you will just get this aggressive, anxious urge to grab your phone for one last scroll. Why? Because for 99% of human history, silence was the default setting of the entire planet. But modern humans? We completely wiped it out. We colonized the quiet. We treated stillness like a product defect and replaced it with a never-ending stream of noise. And guess what? Science is now proving that this exact micro-habit is low-key breaking our brains. Here's the terrifying reality of what we lost and the massive corporate machinery that engineered it. Look, your brain was never engineered to live in the world you currently inhabit. For over 300,000 years, our ancestors spent almost their entire waking lives in what scientists call low-stimulation environments. They were walking endless plains, tracking game in deep forests, or just staring blankly into a campfire in absolute dead quiet. Back then, silence was not seen as empty space. It was not an awkward gap that needed to be filled. It was basic human infrastructure. History's greatest minds, from Roman Stoics like Seneca to deep thinkers who literally built modern philosophy, used silence as a mental workshop. It is the only environment on Earth where the constant noise of the human ego can finally shut up, allowing original, deep thought to actually take over. Before the Industrial Age, the human brain spent roughly 60 to 70% of its day in this calm, low-input baseline. But modern humans, we absolutely hate being left alone with ourselves. So we spent the last 2 centuries engineering a world where quiet literally cannot exist. Think you are different? Think you can handle just a few minutes of quiet? Think again. In 2014, social psychologists at the University of Virginia ran an experiment that absolutely rattled the scientific community. They took ordinary, everyday people, put them in a completely bare room, and stripped away all distractions. No phones, no smartwatches, no books, no music. They were told to do one simple thing, just sit there and think for 15 minutes. But there was a catch. Inside the room, there was a single button. If a participant pushed it, they would receive a highly painful electric shock to their ankle. Now, before the test started, the researchers asked everyone flat out, would you pay money out of your own pocket to avoid getting shocked? Every single person said yes, obviously. But once the door closed and they were left alone in the quiet, total psychological panic set in. Within just 15 minutes, 67% of the men and 25% of the women voluntarily shocked themselves. One guy hit the button 190 times. Let that sink in. Modern humans would literally rather choose acute physical pain than the agony of being left alone with their own minds for a quarter of an hour. But here's the kicker. This deep phobia of the quiet is not an inherent human trait. It is a completely modern invention. If you dig through old journals from the early 1800s or letters written by regular people before the digital age, you notice something wild. People did not weaponize the word boredom the way we do today. Boredom was not an emergency that needed to be snuffed out with a swipe. It was the exact incubator where human culture was born. Mary Shelley conceptualized the entire story of Frankenstein while staring blankly out a rainy window during a period of intense, forced isolation. Sir Isaac Newton mapped out the laws of universal gravity while sitting idly under an apple tree because a literal plague had shut down his university. For centuries, the human mind relied on quiet intervals to process trauma, organize memory, and fire up imagination. But today, the absolute second a gap appears in our day, whether we are standing in line for a latte, waiting at a red light, or just walking to the bathroom, we pull out the screen. We assassinate the silence before it even gets a chance to breathe. And over time, this micro-habit has literally rewired our brains. And this is not just a funny stat about how addicted we are to our phones. It is an active neurological crisis. Neuroscientists discovered that your brain has a specific, highly advanced back-end cleanup system called the default mode network, or the DMN. Here's the catch. The DMN only turns on when you are doing absolutely, positively nothing. Staring out a window, daydreaming, or sitting in total quiet. Think of the DMN as your brain's night shift cleaning crew. It is the system that processes emotional trauma, consolidates your memories, and builds your actual sense of identity. It figures out who you are when the world is not looking. But you know what kills the DMN instantly? External stimulation. Every single time you check a feed, every time you put on a podcast just to wash the dishes, every time you stream a video in the background. You hit the force quit button on your brain's emotional cleaning cycle. You never clean house. The mental debris just piles up day after day, year after year, until your brain literally overflows with uncalculated anxiety. So who is the killer here? Who engineered the death of silence? It is attention economics. In the early 2010s, tech giants realized the most valuable asset on Earth was not oil or gold anymore. It was your focus. To maximize profits, tech conglomerates hired top-tier behavioral psychologists to build platforms explicitly engineered to exploit human survival instincts. They turned the internet into a literal casino. The infinite scroll, the bright red notification badges, the variable reward algorithms, they are all meticulously designed to ensure your brain never experiences a single second of stillness. Because a quiet brain is a dangerous brain for big tech. A quiet brain closes the app, and a closed app does not make them add revenue. We thought we were just getting free apps and entertainment, but the hidden cost was our internal peace. The average person today consumes more data in 24 hours than someone in the 1600s did in their entire lifetime. And then we wonder why we are anxious. We wonder why we cannot focus. We treat chronic restlessness and insomnia like internal malfunctions, and we look for a pill or a new app to fix it. But what if it is not a glitch at all? What if that jittery, uncomfortable feeling you get in a quiet room is not your brain failing? What if it is your mind finally getting a second to breathe, desperately trying to process years of backed-up thoughts? We traded 300,000 years of mental peace for a screen that never sleeps and a world that never shuts up. And the worst part, most of us did not even notice it was gone.